This next film we will be discussing is called The Boys in the Boat.
There are some moments in life you'll never forget. The Depression hit everyone hard. No jobs, no food. We were broke.
Looks like you still owe a balance on this semester.
So what's that about making some money?
Yeah, the rowing team. You're on it, you get a part-time job included, cheap place to live.
8-man crew is the most difficult team sport in the world. The average human body is just not meant for such things. Most of you will not be chosen.
Beautiful speech, Coach.
The Boys in the Boat is a biographical sports drama based on the #1 New York Times best-selling nonfiction novel written by Daniel James Brown. It is co-produced and directed by George Clooney from a screenplay by Mark L. Smith.
You're announcing the team today. Are you going to make it?
We rode out of need.
Come on, boys.
The need to stay in school, the need to eat, to sleep.
We gotta keep these, right? As long as we stay on the team.
Washington Huskies coach is bringing an inexperienced boat to competition.
They said we couldn't compete with the richest schools in the nation.
The Washington boat has taken the lead. Washington has done it!
I got 9 seconds under the course record. Olympic year this year.
Olympic year? I didn't realize.
That bunch of kids rode like no one else that's ever come through here.
Everybody else tires, they just get stronger. We have a boat that I believe could qualify for an Olympic spot.
Hope you know what you're doing.
They said we couldn't beat the Germans.
You gotta beat those other schools first, but Coach says we have a shot.
Maybe we can row as a team.
If you guys don't get yourselves figured out, you're not racing at all.
The boys, that boat, sorry, guy.
But they didn't understand who we were.
Let's show them what's in this book.
I don't believe what I'm seeing!
The best boats, they're connected. Sweat and pain.
For what it's worth, I'm proud of you boys.
Inspiring.
You missed the part where I told them not to tip over. Row for your country. Row for each other.
For all the people who never believed in you! As one! As one!
You didn't have to change the truth. You just had to pick what parts of the story you were going to tell, right? So there's a whole beginning of the book where you get to see him as a young boy and see all of that. And then there's the actual story of what they went through. And then there's sort of later in life. And what was really interesting to us was the period of time that they were at the University of Washington and taking on sort of 3 different groups, taking on the seniors first and then taking on the rich, kind of fraternity kind of kids, and then taking on the Nazis. So we felt like that was a really exciting time to do. So we had to focus, got to understand what the ins and outs of the actual rowing entail, got to understand what speed is like by getting in closer as opposed to being far back. When you're far back, nothing looks fast. So you could use that as as your palette in a way to, it showed us some of the ways you have to care about the people who are rowing. But rowing at the turn of the last century, particularly in the 1920s, was the #1 watched sport, meaning attended sport in the United States. So there were 100,000 people at these things. So it was a very big. So it has been a very big sport, and it still is a big sport, but. It's not as big as football and baseball and basketball and all that now. So it's just about trying to show the excitement and remind people what something was and how exciting that was. Stay with him until he finishes the first line, and when Joel starts to talk, then you can make the move.
8-man crew is the most difficult team sport in the world.
One catch, let's go!
One of the stepping stones for me to want to get involved in the film was talking to George about this story.
To be directed by George, I'm learning from a master.
You could just sense that he was excited by the challenge of doing it.
The Washington boat has taken the lead. Washington has done it!
He and Grant have done an incredible amount of research about this story.
It's so easy to write exciting scenes, but to put it together so that it really works and your heart is racing, that's a director's skill, that's a George skill.
It requires planning every shot.
George really understands where to put a camera.
For all the people who didn't believe in you!
George adds to the ferociousness, the power, and brings us closer as an audience to the boys in the boat as they cross that finish line.
We see what we're made of and see that we're actually on each other's sides. This film reminds us that we're all in this together.
As one! As one!
The nonfiction novel describes the University of Washington crew that represented the United States in the men's 8 at the 1936 Summer Olympic Games in Berlin, including the coaches, boat builder George Pocock, and the working-class student athletes involved, especially Roe Joer Rance, who was effectively abandoned by his family and left to fend for himself at a young age. This inspirational true story follows a group of underdogs at the height of the Great Depression as they are thrust into the spotlight and take on elite rivals from around the world.
It's a boat full of underdogs representing an underdog nation.
In 3, 2, 1, row!
Rowing, particularly in the 1920s, was one of the most attended sports in the United States. The Boys in the Boat is about strong, tough kids, but they were poor and hungry. They're rowing because it was the only way they could stay in college.
Well, what's that about making some money?
Yeah, the rowing team. You're on, you get a part-time job included, cheap place to live. All you gotta do is make the team.
The stakes were much higher for them.
8-man crew is the most difficult team sport in the world. Most of you will not be chosen.
And it gave them an edge.
The Boys in the Boat is scheduled to be released by Amazon MGM Studios on Christmas Day. You can watch the trailer and other clips on our YouTube channel, EMT Media Network, or locally in Los Angeles on Channel 25, and I'll see you next time.
These guys at the University of Washington taking on the seniors.
I got 9 seconds under the course record.
And then taking on the fraternity kids. And then taking on the Nazis. Every film we've ever seen that has an underdog in it, you're always rooting for. That you can pull yourself up from nothing and succeed.
Give it everything!
There's lots of times when the human spirit prevails over circumstances that it doesn't seem that they ought to be able to prevail over. George understood what the heart of the story was. It reminds us of what we're capable of when we pull together.
The actual story of what they went through was really spectacular.
For all the people who didn't believe in you, as one,